Hi, everybody. This is Adam Elenbaas from Nightlight Astrology, and these are your horoscopes for the month of June 2019. So this is the Sun and Rising sign horoscope for Geminis. And this month I'm doing these in 5 minutes or less because I had a professional astrology conference that I was speaking at last month, the end of May, and it took up most of my time for the month. So I was cutting it close, and I just figured I'd do these a little bit more briefly than I usually do. All right, so let's take a look. The big transits for everybody involve an opposition from Mars to Saturn and Pluto. That's like the rock star transit of the month everyone's talking about. And it certainly is a big one. And then there's a series of T-squares that are also being made, which are very powerful for all the mutable signs like yourself. So let's take a look starting with Mars. Mars is in Cancer in your second house of income and expenditures, moving in its fall in Cancer, by the way, a debilitated Mars, opposing Saturn and Pluto. What that means, generally speaking, is that this is a month of transformation around finances and resources, probably transformative and potentially a little volatile and challenging. There could be some unexpected bills due, some unexpected debt. It's possible that you're going through some kind of reconstruction of your professional life or the way that you earn money or a kind of income and resources. Second house also has a lot to do with food and diet, and Mars in there. You want to be careful when it's debilitated in the second house about unhealthy diet or lifestyle patterns, basically. The second eighth house dynamic is also, the eighth house is the house of death and loss, transformation, but it can be a very heavy house. It can also bring up issues around money in relationships or generally the theme of death and rebirth. And when Mars is triggering that opposite Saturn and Pluto, it can be very potent and, again, somewhat volatile with Mars in Cancer. It tends to hit us where we're a little bit more vulnerable. But I would say that the general theme is going to be change, provocation, maybe even hostility or aggression, and maybe or some degree of really having to work through a difficult patch and some obstacles, probably around finances or money this month for Geminis. It will get better. It's not that long. It lasts this month, but you're also in a season right now of eclipses taking place in two houses that have a lot to do with money and finances. Those are coming through next month. So this is sort of preparing you for that. The other thing that's major is there's a pretty big T-square between planets moving through your home sign of Gemini, including the new moon on June 3rd, and the sun June 9th and 10th, Venus June 22nd and 23rd, making a T-square with Jupiter and Sag in your 7th place and in the 10th house as well. The 7th house is a house that's traditionally related to marriage and relationships, the 10th to career, the 1st to health, self, identity. So these transits may bring you into some kind of philosophical dialogue, debate, or even conflict with those that you're close with or somehow in the workplace. It could also be about meeting new people, falling in love, some kind of positive, expansive connections that are being made with others, perhaps in relation to work. So there is an upside to this transit. You do have to be careful about, the spirit of enthusiasm and sort of fantasy and potentially some sort of unclear or fuzzy thinking that could lead you into doing something that's not carefully thought out. That's the influence of Jupiter and Neptune, which likes to do things pretty big, but isn't always realistic. And, as a Gemini rising, Gemini sun, Mercury ruled, thinking through things very carefully, using your wits, very important this month. And also knowing how much of yourself to compromise or not compromise philosophically, intellectually, etc., when Jupiter and Neptune could be quite persuasive this month. So those are some of the things that I'm seeing. I think the dynamism here could be intellectual, spiritual, philosophical, and there could be some real tensions around those things in relationships or in the workplace. But I think ultimately this T-square is very sort of productive and creative and may introduce some really nice allies and creative bonds or partnerings, and maybe introduce stimulating a powerful season of growth. So that's what I've got overall for you, Gemini. This has been brief. I hope it's been, I hope that it's sort of packed a punch, because again, these transits go from the 3rd of the month all the way through summer solstice, and same thing with Mars opposite Saturn and Pluto. You got starting of the month, it gets going, and it's going all the way through summer solstice. So the bulk of June are these two transits. All right, that's what I've got. Let me know how it goes. Sorry it's so brief this month. We'll be back with more next month. Take care, guys. Bye.